Well, I went out and bought a leaf vacuum and spent a good chunk of the time Friday afternoon blowing leaves all over the place, vacuuming those up. Meghan and I then had a birthday dinner that we went out to Petersburg, enjoyed some time with friends, and went to Hand of Fate. As tons of people were there getting ready for Terror on the Square. We didn't get our tickets in advance for Terror on the Square. That thing sold out. So we enjoyed company at Hand of Fate Brewing, enjoying some brewskis, and then heading over to Broad Gauge to have dinner. But then we told our friends, we're like, we gotta get out of here at a decent time because we got to get up early. A gentleman has invited us to join him and his co-pilot to fly from Springfield down to Litchfield to go to a pumpkin drop. Now, we'd never heard of a pumpkin drop. Is this where they get into one of those, bucket trucks and, drop a pumpkin down somewhere on a target? No, it wasn't that exactly, but there were pumpkins being dropped and a particular target in the middle of an airport down in Litchfield. So big shout out to John and Chris for allowing Meghan and I to get into their Cessna, a Cardinal, 1968 model of just a beautiful plane, 4-person plane. Meghan sat in front on the way there. I sat in back on the way there, and then we switched it up. But just an absolutely gorgeous day Saturday for it. And if you're watching along on our Facebook stream, it's also be posted to YouTube. The video itself is already up on YouTube on my Bishop on Air channel, so you can go see that and other travel videos. But I wanted to share this with you because it's so cool and hopefully will inspire others to, get their kids involved in just an incredible time and getting excited about aviation. So this beautiful red Cessna out at the airport where they store it, and Chris and John and others are partners in this, and they've done an incredible job just taking this 1968 aircraft, this personal aircraft, the wings that are on the top, and they restored it and put some modern instruments in there, and the weather couldn't have been any more perfect. Barely any wind as we flew out from the Springfield airport, looking over, seeing all the cornfields, and even the fog early Saturday morning was blanketing parts of Springfield. So as we flew by, you could see the Capitol and the Hilton and a little bit of fog with the sun splashing over the city landscape with the clouds turning from green to orange to red, and even the power plant off in the distance with just a little bit of a haze from the fog. But as we flew, we saw just wonderful sights. How beautiful it is, the land that we live in central Illinois. And even just seeing Lake Springfield from above. Gorgeous. Now, Chris, with Meghan in the co-pilot chair, they were flying down to Litchfield. Even flew over our tiny village of Divernon right off the highway. Got a good glimpse of the house from the sky. But just so neat to experience this. And I think it's important that we let kids know they have the opportunity to experience this as well. There's a Young Eagles group that is John's involved in, a whole bunch of others are involved in, and they inspire young people to get involved in aeronautics. Not just, possibly getting a pilot's license over a set amount of time, but even getting into aviation mechanics. A huge field, pays very well, and it's something that you can really get kids to get interested in early so that they take the proper steps to get into that very high-paying field, and there's a lot of demand for it. So there's John and I in the back seats hanging out, just looking at the incredible scenery. Barely any winds out there. But then we flew into the Litchfield Municipal Airport, and I gotta say, Chris, his landing was perfect. It didn't even feel like we landed. So smooth. But then we get to Litchfield, and they're having a pancake breakfast with a griddle outside, and the pancakes were free, but you could pay $30 to drop 2 pumpkins from an airplane. So they had a whole bunch of people there with their pumpkins ready to go, hopping on board an airplane, and doing a pumpkin drop at the Litchfield Municipal Airport. There goes a pumpkin and a car down below, and it missed. The car is all beat up already, so it's not like it's somebody parked in the parking lot. But there was also a gyrocopter, which is kind of an aircraft of sorts. Doesn't have wings, per se, but they also bought some pumpkins, and they got very close to dropping that pumpkin onto the car. But more airplanes with people paying to drop pumpkins. Like, never experienced anything like this. Very cool. But also, on the flight back, I got to sit up front. Meghan got to sit in the back. And instead of Chris piloting, John piloted. And this aircraft is gorgeous. Just getting up close to it. Beautiful, just bright red with the aircraft identification numbers on the side, and all of the modern instrument panels that they had installed, which you gotta imagine. Yeah, the aircraft cost a pretty penny. But those updated, there's Meghan. There's those updated instrument control panels that, gosh, that had to have cost a pretty penny as well. So there we go, taking off from Litchfield Municipal Airport. Just an incredible time. Couldn't thank John and Chris enough to be able to allow us to join them on that flight Saturday. It was an early rise on a Saturday, but getting to the airport and checking out all of the just incredible things they have, and even kind of learning some of the basics of flying too. I'm not gonna lie, I've been wanting to get my pilot's license for quite some time. I know it's a big investment of time and resources, but this type of thing is definitely inspiring me to look into getting all that lined up over the next handful of years. We shall see. But just absolutely gorgeous, wonderful time. Again, thanks to John and Chris for taking us on that flight Saturday. Really had a wonderful time, and we'll be updating you on the Young Eagles when they meet next, and whenever we can ultimately have John back on to talk about the Young Eagles program heading into the spring months, and we'll also keep you posted on whenever they have those experimental aircraft come to town. You know, the old World War II bombers that they refurbish. I didn't get a chance to go on the most recent one they brought, but I did go on the one before that, the Ford Trimotor, which was a treat. And those are, again, just incredible opportunities for people to take part in learning about aviation and getting young people inspired to learn more about aviation, because listen, we can fly, people. We're an advanced society and a civilization that has learned to fly and everything that goes into it, knowing all the instruments, knowing all of the calculations, and also how to work that radio to communicate with the tower. There's a lot that goes into it, and you can inspire a whole generation of people to get into it even more. We've got a great organization here locally of some volunteers who are even handing out scholarships to young people to get into aeronautics. So thumbs up. Again, John, Chris, thank you so much. Meghan and I had just an incredibly wonderful time on that flight from Springfield down to Litchfield to see people drop pumpkins out of a plane trying to hit a car. Which, hey, it was a great fundraiser for them down in Litchfield. But John says the type of stuff happens all the time in the flying community. People will fly to a location, meet up with a bunch of other pilots, go to a nearby restaurant, check out some of the nearby things in all different places all around Illinois and elsewhere. So there's a pretty vibrant community out there, and couldn't have asked for a better day to do it than on Saturday. All right, so you can go check out that whole video again on my YouTube channel, Bishop on Air, and you can see a whole bunch of other videos there of our travel.